My name is Dagny at Nafsagad. I am from Ethiopia.
You can't just interview me. As a researcher, I'm going to research you too.
My name is Tina from Kama Produce, and we grow our stuff in Ramona, and we mainly do color greens.
Because it's part of the tradition, you don't get onto a farm and disrupt workers.
Yeah.
You join in first.
Sounds good.
You show that you appreciate what this is all about. Then you sit down, then they give you the time.
Sounds good.
So it seems like you do have a hand.
Lucky for you, I've been doing this for a very long time. So.
Okay.
Professor Chikawero runs a garden located in family housing here on campus.
This garden is called Uhuru, food sovereignty. We often don't think about it. But what we buy at the shops often is not good.
Yeah.
A lot of the vegetables and fruits that we buy, they come from industrial farming.
Yeah.
A lot of it is chemicals, a lot of it is hormones, a lot of it is GMO.
And it's grown in soil that's poor.
Yes, yes, often soil that is poisonous. And so when I don't know, we didn't test the soil, but at least we know what we're putting into the soil and what we're harvesting. So we don't use any chemicals. We use organic compounds to control pests. We use mechanical means to control pests. But what we've managed to do is to grow what we eat in terms of most of the veggies that we need. I mean, you call them collard greens.
Yeah. Murio. I know
Murio.
Yeah.
Murio. All kinds of types. There's mustard.
Yeah. Mustard greens.
What we call tsunga.
Yeah.
They call it Swiss chard.
Yeah.
That one?
Yes.
I don't know if it comes from Switzerland.
It doesn't.
Yeah, so Swiss chard.
I can tell you it does not. Yeah.
And the type of collard greens that you use, so they're different in Africa, right, than here? Or are they the same variety of collard greens? So
Here, there's a lot of different greens, like the kale and the spinach, but the collard green, I think, is the same.
We grew Zimbabwean collard greens, so they were a little more tender. They weren't as harsh, and they were a lot easier to make wraps with. They tasted better, in my opinion. Yeah.
There's a type.
When I came to America, the first thing I was looking for the food which I used to eat back home. So I went into the store and I found the Georgia collard greens. At least I could relate to collard greens, so we started eating these collard greens, and they're good. And then when we started planting, we started looking around what kind we could get. Then we started incorporating things like kale also. But the collard greens, these are the deal, the real deal. And why collard greens, you might ask? We grew up eating collard greens in my country, Zimbabwe.
It's tall. It keeps growing up to maybe this height. So it's perennial.
So I remember growing up, there were two types of collard greens. The ones that were lighter colors, they grow fast. And the other ones, I think, tend to take longer to harvest. So people actually, specifically the poor people, people with less means, used to eat those collard greens that would
grow fast.
A month.
Yeah.
I think it has a name that's connected to it.
Yeah.
It grows in a month.
My grandma, she used to pick greens from the garden. She would cook them slow with hammocks and make them real tender. We'd eat them with cornbread.
Georgia top chop and the Zimbabwean collard greens, they're all collard greens.
Yeah.
We like them. And now we're growing them here, and these are wonderful and they're very healthy. In my country, it's considered women's food
Because it's the food for
everyone. Yeah.
but it's very healthy. People never knew it's very healthy.
And our food is very spicy. It's
Yeah.
Our spice is called berbere. It's hot, and we do make a lot of sauces from that.
We don't even use more spices. You just do your tomato and onions.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Got you.
And oil.
Got you. Got you. Yeah.
So you don't need to spice them. They're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Most of the time it's cooked separately. Some people cook it with meat, but a lot of times we cook it, we saute the onion.
So you can saute them. In my country, we cook and mix with peanut butter to make them nutritious, more nutritious. But they're also loaded with some vitamins and some iron and everything. So we always have collard greens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Each meal, lunch, collard greens.
Yeah.
Beef with collard greens.
Yeah.
Chicken, collard greens on the side. So it's a collard green world. Yay!
And we just wash and cut up the greens, and we put it on our pan, and then we add ginger and garlic almost all the time into all our dishes. Yeah.
This is Gwendolyn Brooks, January 19th, 1961, reading from my own poems. from a street in Bronzeville, kitchenette building. We are things of dry hours and the involuntary plan. Grayed in and gray. Dream makes a giddy sound, not strong like rent, feeding a wife, satisfying a man. But could a dream send up through onion fumes its white and violet, fight with fried potatoes and yesterday's garbage ripening in the hall, flutter or sing an aria down these rooms? Even if we were willing to let it in, had time to warm it, keep it very clean, anticipate a message, let it begin. We wonder, but not well, not for a minute. Since number 5 is out of the bathroom now, we think of lukewarm water, hope to get in it.
If we cook our beef, we shred when we cook our beef, we shred our collard greens, mix it with our beef, or now we are doing smoothies, we can do smoothies, or you can saute them and just eat them as a side dish with whatever you're eating, or
People tend to love meat more than vegetables.
Yeah.
So
Got it.
it's
Got it.
mostly in the nesting season.
I smells the collards cooking and my mouth water up. I remember how Mama used to make them with smoked turkey necks.
Yeah, so a lot of Ethiopian food are cooked. Their base is always a lot of onions.
shred them thinly, boil them with tomatoes and onion, and stir peanut butter for
yeah.
more nutrition.
Yeah.
That's how we cook them back
Yeah.
home. So this is how our collard greens are cooked.
Oh, I really liked your collard greens. I thought they were. I really liked like the spice in it. I didn't expect it because usually in America when people cook collard greens, it's not really, there's not much spice to it.
And you know what? People in my country don't get sick because they eat collard greens.
Yeah.
While visiting Tina at the farmer's market, where I used to work with her, right after the interview, she went down to the Bidi Bidi stand, which is run by a guy from Mozambique who makes delicious collard greens. And Tina came back with a delicious surprise. Personally, I was really impressed with the sauce, and I recommend anyone who's going down to the Hillcrest Farmers Market to try it out.
What do you call it?
Red kale.
Red kale.
Yeah.
I don't remember eating kale growing up, actually.
Interestingly enough, kale did originate in Ethiopia thousands of years ago, but it is now popular in the south along with collard greens and mustard greens, which were eaten by slaves.
And the challenge here, the snails.
You can sprinkle eggshells.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's so sharp for them. They
But you need how many dozens of eggshells?
a lot. Yeah. Well, also coffee grounds work. I
A
think.
lot of these pumpkins and magaka, these are magaka.
Yeah.
We try to grow African veggies of African origin, particularly Zimbabwean fruit. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's grown a lot in New Zealand now. Yeah, very very nice.
Yeah.
I think they classify it as a superfood.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Speaking of superfoods, here you have another superfood. I don't know if you know, but this right here, this is purslane. Yeah, this is actually Mexican and Mediterranean, it's like very southern Mediterranean people use it in, and it's actually one of the highest vegetables in omega-3 fatty acids.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so this is really good for you.
I knew that people
Yeah.
eat that, but I wasn't sure because I've not
Yeah.
eaten it. So I treat it as a weed.
Yeah, no, don't treat it as a weed. I mean, it is a weed. It is a weed, but you should eat it because it's very good. And all you do, you can even eat it fresh. You can wash it, cut it up, or you can put it in your eggs. If you're making eggs, you can put it in soup.
It's always open for people who want to put a hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the spirit of this space.
Mm-hmm.
We work with volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
We know that the challenge of food scarcity and food cost
Mm-hmm.
and foodstuffs poisoning.
Yeah, I'd love to help
Yeah,
if you
because
need.
most of my students actually didn't know. Like those ones who were born in this country,
Yeah.
they've never grown anything.
Yeah. Most people in the U.S. haven't really. And even people that do grow stuff in the U.S., a lot of them work on large-scale industrial farms. And I've noticed that that's the difference because the farms I worked at were very small. And so I know all about the different plants. And we don't grow just like one plant for acres. We grow a lot of different things, like row by row different. And yeah, people, they just know, oh, I have to apply this chemical. This is the problem. I apply this chemical. Oh, this is another problem. Then we just dig up the entire thing. Then we just destroy all the microbiome in the soil.
Because the French or the British or the Portuguese were just trying to get people to produce this one or few crops.
Yeah. Because it was the most profitable. Yeah.
It's profitable, but also in terms of starches that replace small grains.
Yeah.
Very, very nutritious and just make people grow corn. It's from their countries and they're calling that our traditional food, our staple food and all that stuff.
But it's
Most
colonial
of it is
food.
corn.
Yeah.
Most of the students have not looked at this stuff close.
I'll tell you, this is not just an African problem. This is an all over the world problem because most foods that people call traditional, they've only been around for a few hundred years. Yeah.
Yes, so
Yeah.
who's tradition and what is tradition?
Yeah.
So I guess you can make tradition, and you can make tradition out of even colonial things. But also, I mean, you've got to be conscious.
Yeah. They actually make most sugar in America is made out of corn. Most animal feed in America is made out of corn. Most even fertilizer is made out of corn.
So I mean, it's an industrial crop in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the corn, because it's industrial, because it's profit driven, because it's subsidized, because it's chemical based, it's not the best kind of food.
Yeah, yeah.
So the corn belt runs from South Africa all the way to Kenya
Uh-huh.
and some other countries. But that's the main corn belt. And you know what? That corn belt is also the cancer belt.
Do you think that's because of the corn itself or because of the chemicals they use to grow corn?
No, I think it's a multiple factors now. But
Yeah.
It's all centers.
Yeah.
Corn.
Yeah.
But the corn itself, I mean, because if you look at most traditional people would weed like what you were doing there.
Mm-hmm.
You remove grass mechanically.
Yeah.
But now people are being persuaded to buy Roundup.
Yeah.
And these
Yeah.
chemicals that kill weeds.
Yeah.
When
That's
you spray that stuff, you're killing not just the weeds.
You're killing the microbiome in the soil.
You're killing the biomatter.
Yeah, yeah.
Very few people can kill more than 10
Yeah.
different veggies. So this is serious impoverishment in terms of the food cultures. A lot of this comes with industrializing diets, industrializing lives. But also, a lot of this came as what scholars have called a pesticide, the killing of knowledge systems, knowledge about food. So, because what missionaries did was they demonized what people were eating. And they called that, hidden food.
Mm-hmm.
By eating hidden food. Like the small grains, that was hidden food. Eat corn, white maize.
Yeah.
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 And that's what civilized Christian people eat. So that is really like the gospel of death. And people still call maize like the savior. Yeah. In many ways, it's the white savior.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is white poison.
It's not.
But this also talks to our limited knowledge. Those are
Yeah.
the things that we call weeds are vegetables.
Yeah.
Because I was telling you about the over 100 veggies that most of us have forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
This is how we've been losing knowledge in part through education.
Yeah.
So,
And it's hard. It's actually because of what you're saying, because of the colonial structure of our. I can only speak for the U.S. really, but because of the colonial structure of the education system in the U.S., we're taught more about what grew in Europe 200 years ago, and we grow the same things in the U.S. Even though like we live in Southern California, the same stuff doesn't grow that well here, and it takes much more water, it takes much more resources to grow the same things. But we go outside and we see plants, and we don't even know anything about them.